Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
I named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in pints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks get out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who loves to answer some questions. It's Frank. How are you today?
I'm doing great, my man. How are you?
I'm good, Frank. I am ready to talk some stuff with you, whatever that might be. We just don't know. And to drink some beer, which I am doing. But first, what are you drinking?
I am enjoying a Stoneface Brewing Russian Imperial Stout, aged in bourbon barrels.
Oh, you do love your summer stouts. It's a heat wave. I don't know how you're doing that.
It's a heat wave, but oh man, this is so, because this beer is so like, it's got vanilla flavor, it's got some chocolate flavor, it's got ancho chilies in it, and cinnamon on top of it all. So
sounds delicious. That's what it does sound like.
It is a flavor explosion. So really, really good. Stoneface Brewing, right here, very local to me, just a few minutes away from my house, and it's great. It's great. But yes, I am doing the stereotypical Frank thing and drinking a stout in the summer. But hey, you know what? I'm indoors, so I drink what I want.
That's a good point. It's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah. What about yourself?
I am drinking something from literally around the world from us. I am drinking a Radiant Pig, a Secret Pastures, which is from New Zealand.
Ooh.
It is a hopped Pilsner. So it is a New Zealand style Pilsner. And I'll read the back of the can, because why not? A Kiwi spin on a classic style, Secret Pastures showcases Motueka hops from New Zealand. Zesty lemon and lime aromas up front are followed by a hint of malt sweetness and a dry finish. Named after the Keith Haring punk art and dance collaboration, which showed there's no limitations to what art can be on stage or in a glass. Yo, recycle this. It also says, which is a little bit at the bottom. It's great. You know, it's a fun little can with a kiwi on it and everything. When he's wearing glasses, cute. like our logo.
That's cute.
It's cute. It's excellent too. I'm really happy I got it. I would definitely get more of them.
Amazing. That sounds great. I wish I was drinking that. It sounds great. I'll see if did you find it just at a local, like, the grocery store, beer store?
I just hopped on a plane to New Zealand, Frank. It just came back today. I was gone for 3 hours. You didn't hear? Oh wait, no, that's impossible. I went to my local store.
Nice.
It was part of my pick six.
Very cool. Very, very cool. That's a great pick six you've been working on.
Thank you.
It's been a minute since we broke out one of our favorite Beer with Geeks traditions, thinking and drinking. We're already doing the drinking, so we might as well do the thinking.
Sure.
Yeah, but
course.
this is basically just a deck of cards, thought starter or conversation starter cards that you and I saw at a brewery once and thought it seemed like fun, so we picked it up for the podcast, because it's a lot of fun. So basically, it's meant to generate conversation at the bar or at the brewery. You're sitting around with people, maybe some of them are your friends, maybe some of them are not. And so it's just meant to, like, hey, let's go around and answer these questions. So that's we do this every once in a while, and it's always a fun time, because it's just, you end up talking about topics you never otherwise would. So I can actually start us off with Tim. What was your favorite cartoon to watch growing up?
Do you have an age?
I mean, it doesn't. So just interpret it however you like.
Oh no. It's so bad. I'm gonna say Spider-Man the animated series on Fox.
Nice.
I'll say that is my
Nice.
as my choice, because like I loved Ninja Turtles when I was a little kid, and I liked Batman the animated series and Superman the animated series and Batman and Superman Hour and like all this other stuff. And then I'd say I was still a kid by the time Justice League rolled around and Batman Beyond and stuff, but not in the way that I was a kid for Spider-Man the animated series on Fox.
Sure.
And I'm going to claim that as my highest one because we used to get the like Spider-Man magazine that they would pump out with it.
Nice.
Like hardcore fandom. Like, I want to read the magazine and get the inside info.
Nice.
And like all that stuff, like a cool ass 90s kid. And so like, and when you're a kid, you have no conception of like when TV shows come out and when they air and when the next new episode is. You just kind of like the TV tells you,
right?
When the next one is. You don't know. And in that magazine, there was an article about, I want to say it's going into season 4, and there was an article about how Daredevil was going to guest on the show, and there was just an article and a picture or two and whatever else, and I just remember waiting like fervently for months and months and months, waiting for that episode to finally air, because you just check every day to see if it's that episode. Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it back yet? Is it back yet? Is it back yet? Is it gonna be? And yeah, it was awesome.
Nice.
Too. So I'm gonna say that. I think I still have that magazine somewhere, actually.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
cool.
gonna have to try to hunt that down. But
nice.
Yes, I will say Spider-Man the animated series. I actually was just sent an article today by my friend Josh, who it's about because the show ended after 5 seasons, and it ended abruptly. It didn't have a natural conclusion because the showrunners, Avi Arad and others. So of course, like jack of all, trades, the man who knows how to kill Marvel Comics, Avi Arad. There was some big argument with Fox about something, and they just canceled the show. They were like, fine, you're done. And so it never resolved. So I was just in an article today about how it was going to resolve, like what they were going to do. Because Mary Jane's like lost in the multiverse, basically, because it introduced you to the multiverse way early in your fandom.
That was ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its time. It did Secret Wars and different Spider-Mans from different multiverses, and it was cool, but it was like Mary Jane was like somewhat, for some reason, trapped in 18th century London, and Carnage was actually Jack the Ripper. And like Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, was going to come back, and they were going to introduce Sandman, and they were going to do a bunch of other cool stuff. But I actually felt really good, like having that resolved. I was like, oh man, I actually know what happened to Mary Jane after all these years. Thank
I feel
goodness.
like I've been holding this tension all these decades,
Didn't
and it
even realize.
just let it go all of a sudden.
Melted right off of me. Yeah. What was your favorite cartoon?
I mean, obviously Superman the animated series, but that's like too obvious knowing me,
because Spider-Man the animated series wasn't obvious for me.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like I would have guessed Batman the animated series for you. Honestly, that's what I would have guessed. But Spider-Man is now that you mention it, like, of course you love that show. I know you love that show, so that's not a huge surprise. But Superman the animated series had I remember watching the premiere. I remember watching that for the first time, like that. I imprinted on that moment. On that, I believe it aired in prime time. I don't think it started on a Saturday morning.
Yep, I think they all did that because Batman aired at night. Batman Beyond definitely aired at night. And I'm pretty sure Superman did too.
Yes, I remember watching it. I remember watching it at night. I remember it being such a big moment, such a big deal, and it felt like a moment. It felt like the start of an era. So that was definitely very special to me, and I watched that on Saturday mornings after that.
It's funny. You talking about that just reminded me. So we recorded an episode about Superman 78, and honestly, we recorded back to back. I just veil behind the curtain, I don't know what order these are coming in. It doesn't matter.
But
Doesn't matter because we talked about on that episode how long it took for him to become Superman. Like I wasn't interested in the Krypton stuff as a kid, and Superman the animated series did the exact same thing because I was just about the same age seeing both of them, and like it was like a whole episode was just Krypton. And then a whole other episode was young Clark. And I, as a kid, I was like, when is he going to be Superman?
Right.
Like, why is this taking so long?
You know what, though? I'm pretty sure I had seen Superman the movie before having seen this. I think it was probably around the same time because that show started in 96, I think. And I would have been 7 years old. So I think that's about the time that I saw Superman, the movie.
Okay.
But that format or the exposure to Krypton and then exposure to Smallville as the town, I think primed me a little bit for this because then I was like, oh, okay, this is a more palatable version of that weird movie with the people with the Shakespearean accents wearing white clothes, white robes. So, yeah, I feel like you just jogged my memory that I think it felt familiar enough because I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this before done differently in that other movie. So that one definitely has to come at the top of my list. But for whatever reason, I also want to mention Popeye. I loved Popeye cartoons as a kid. I freaking loved Popeye. I had a bunch on tapes, you know, the kinds of VHS tapes that you would buy at like the discount bin at the grocery store. When we were kids. And so, yeah, I had a lot of Popeye cartoons and I really, really enjoyed Popeye. So I'm just gonna throw that one out there just as a random, like that was a favorite of mine. Not the favorite,
that's
but a
cool.
favorite.
No, I love Popeye. Like that's like absolute. I am 100% down for Popeye. So good on you. Actually, I don't know why that reminded me, because you said you had VHS tapes and you're like, it wasn't my favorite, but I loved it. I loved Peter Pan and the Pirates. I don't know.
I remember being aware of that show, but I never watched it.
Yeah, it was. We had one episode taped off a TV that we would just kind of watch on loop because I think it was already off air by the time that we were kind of cognizant of watching it. And so, but yeah, Tim Curry was Captain Hook, and it was just kind of all over the place if I remember correctly. But it was just a lot of Tim Curry snarling.
Was it Disney Peter Pan or was it a different take on Peter Pan?
Different take on Peter Pan.
Okay.
Totally different take.
I remember this is not even worth the story worth telling barely, but I remember my grandmother had these tapes. She had taped episodes of like I Love Lucy and Leave It to Beaver off of TV for herself to watch. And I would watch them with her sometimes. And I remember on one of those tapes there being commercials for after this, like after Leave It to Beaver, stay tuned for Woody Woodpecker, followed by Peter Pan and the Pirates. But I never got to see Peter Pan and the Pirates because it was an old tape and it wasn't on TV anymore. And so I just heard this mention of it, of like, stay tuned. And then I never saw it. So
sad that you never actually got to see it.
And other than that tape mentioning it, this is the first time I've ever talked to someone about Peter Pan and the Pirates. You're the first person I've ever met who said they've seen Peter Pan and the Pirates. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, it was on I just looked it up. I used my one lookup. It was on from 90 to 91.
Oh,
And it ran for 65 episodes.
I was real little. I was 2 years old when it went off the air. So there you go.
Yeah, 90. I was only 2 when it was on. So it was just a little bit, the demographic was not.
Yeah.
We were not there. But, oh, man.
Wow. Funny.
Do I want to try to find this just to see what that's like? So anyway, I just remember them pulling like the harpsichord like out of the water, and it was like had fish and stuff inside of it, and Captain Hook was mad. It's like the only part that I really remember. And a cool theme song too, if I remember correctly. But anyway, I'll ask my question now. Describe your greatest fantasy. Appropriate for Beer with Geeks, ages 4 to 45. If you're over 45, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You're out.
That's funny. Okay, greatest fantasy. Wow. Yeah, I like how open-ended these are because it's totally up to you for like what does that mean? What kind of fantasy? That is up for interpretation. My greatest fantasy is oh man, I can fly. But I still have, I'm a simple man. Like I don't need a lot. I don't need a lot in life to be happy. I want a internet media empire for good. None of this Bezos BS. I want to be creating content that makes people feel good, that makes people happy, and that is good for you. That maybe it's educational, maybe it's spiritually uplifting, but content that is positive, that is good. I like to think that's what we try to do anyway, but having more reach with that message and being able to do more good with that and sort of, I guess it's sort of in the similar vein of like if you won the lottery type of thing, where it's like I would also want like all of my loved ones to be like taken care of and have everything they need, have the house they need, have all the stuff they need, not need to work anymore if they don't want to.
I feel like that would be part of your media empire, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's and I can fly because why not? It's my greatest fantasy. So.
Oh, superpower.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but no other. I don't need heat vision or any of that stuff because I'm not. Again, I don't want to be the evil Lex Luthor type. Like if Lex Luthor got powers, like absolute power corrupts absolutely. Just flight is fine. I just want to be able to get around.
Yeah, for free. Yeah. Do you have like a particular speed that you would like to move at? Because like you don't want to be like, oh, I can fly, but I can only move as fast as 747, so it's still going to take me 6 hours to get to France. Like is that that's a lot of time in the air by yourself.
It is. That's time to and listen to my podcasts. But
good. You gotta get some noise canceling ones though, because the wind
for sure.
Flowing by probably isn't great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
AirPods Max, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, what speed is a flight? I don't know. What does Superman do? Like, I mean, because it's implied he kind of can get around the world pretty quickly. So like whatever that is, like it's faster than a plane.
That's true. Well, but Superman's got super speed and flight, so I feel like that combo makes him be able to fly.
That's
quickly.
valid. Yeah. We're gonna go faster than a jet for sure.
Okay.
Fast. Let's go like Concorde speed. How about that?
Okay, sure. Okay.
Yeah. I can get New York to London in like 2 hours.
That's cool. My greatest fantasy is for you to have your media empire.
Oh, that's very typical for you to be like, oh, my fantasy is for someone else. I don't need anything for me. I just want you to be happy. Here, you have your thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I had an answer to this question, and so I didn't skip. I was like, what is my greatest fantasy? And I'm like, I don't know, like what I like to have like enough money to like feel like you're financially stable.
Right.
But to not ever like be over your means, maybe like have a house by the water or something like that. I would love something like that, but that's probably my greatest fantasy. Really something simple and middle class white America like that. Like I love a house by the water.
I feel like we're both kind of like, I know you haven't seen like every episode of The Office, but like there's an episode where Dwight is playing Second Life and he's exactly the same in every way. He's like, in Second Life, I am exactly the same in every way, except I can fly. And that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
He can just like levitate. That's it.
Because he's content the way that he is.
He's just he can't. And even at one point, and it's like, so in your wildest fantasy, you are still a paper salesman at a like middle of the road paper company. He's like, yeah, but you don't know what my salary is. Okay, what's your salary? $80,000. It's like, this is your greatest fantasy, and that's what you've come up with.
$80,000 at a paper company. But hey, I mean, I'm not limited by my imagination. I could think of some wild and crazy things, but I don't know if they're my greatest fantasies.
Yeah.
Though if we're going the super powered route, I would love like to have like a Rolodex of powers in my head. So if instead of like just being like, oh, I could choose flight, but if I have to get there really fast, I could choose speed or teleportation, or oh no, there's no more toilet paper. I just stretch my arm all the way down to where we keep the toilet paper. Little things like that to really help save the world.
Sure. I like it. I like your style. Tim. Other than your nose, what should you never pick?
Favorites.
Ooh, that's a good answer. I'm gonna go a much more existential route because I was this has been on my mind. Other than your nose, what should you never pick? Don't pick a life partner who you don't like. People, I feel like I see this a lot where there's people I know who pair up with somebody who it seems like you don't like your partner, your spouse, your long-term, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Why, if you don't like that, like maybe you love them, but you don't seem to like them very much. Why then are you with this person? Forever is a long time. Like, pick somebody you like.
Maybe they offer some kind of stability that they're looking for, even if they don't necessarily like that they like pick their nose or something like that. But that's a very fine question. And I'm not going to ask you if you're turning this on yourself because I know you like your wife.
I like my
much.
wife very much. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody does. Who doesn't like your wife? She's magical.
She is wonderful.
Yeah,
she's wonderful.
So, but that's it. You're right. You did get a little existential, maybe a little preachy, even.
Yeah, I kind of did. Sorry.
Yeah,
this is why I want to make content that's only uplifting.
That's right. Yeah, pick somebody that
that
you
like though. Be happy.
Yeah, it is nice. I like my wife and I don't fight. Like we just
that is
don't.
nice.
It's just
you two like each other. You two
we do like each other. Yeah. All right. Totally different movement here. You're alive in the Wild West. What is your outlaw name?
Ooh, outlaw name. Okay. Fumbling Frank. Frank
the Rambling Man.
Frank
like
the Rambling Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Funslinger.
The Funslinger.
The Funbringer.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
those
the Funslinger.
Too. The Funslinger. I have no idea. Like, I have no idea. I've never thought about this anywhere close to like before. So I used to have a guy at work who used to call me the professor. Like that was his nickname for me. Like hey, it's the professor. So maybe I'll go with the professor. That feels like it actually, one, fits me, and two, something that you would see in the Wild West.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I'll go with the professor.
Okay. So, this is a good one. Do you have someone you consider your doppelganger?
You mean like my...
I guess like a celebrity doppelganger. I don't know. It just says who's your doppelganger.
Yeah, just like where like my, it's not not necessarily an evil doppelganger, just somebody that's kind of so much like me.
Looks like you.
No, Frank.
Mostly looks like you.
I was told every day by my mommy and daddy that I'm unique, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers told me that too. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not my mommy or daddy, so
no,
I don't know what you're talking about.
He said that a lot. So
he did. You are the only you that has ever existed and ever will exist. I don't know. I mean, people have told me they're like, oh, you might look like so-and-so or something like that. But I don't know if I've ever been outright compared to anybody like that to be like, oh, this is I've certainly seen pictures of people that like look like me or something like there's only so many face combinations to go around. But I don't know. What about you?
I don't really know that I have a celebrity doppelganger, honestly. Like I really don't. I've never been told like, oh, you know who you look just like I don't really get that very much. And the closest I can think of is when I try to look for like, oh, what are Halloween costumes that I could pull off, right? Like I'm bald, I have a dark beard. Like what could I dress up as who somebody who was bald and has a beard?
John Rice Davies.
I suppose there's that.
It's not even bald.
I have been told, I was told this last time I was at Dragon Con. And I was told that I look like, I don't know how it's pronounced. Is it Kratos from God of War?
Kratos.
Yeah. I've been like, yeah, you could pull that off, which like, I mean, yes, I'm bald. I have a beard. Like, okay, sure. But like the war paint and and it's also not a thing I'm into. So like I would have no connection to it. It would just be purely a cosplay because I look like the character. That's kind of what I got though. Like, I don't really
I can see it though. I know what they're talking about. Yeah, you wouldn't do it yourself, but I can see it.
I wouldn't do. I see it. I can see it. It's not one of those things where someone's like, "Oh, you look like so and so," and they're like, "No, I don't look like that."
Oh, you look like Rosie O'Donnell, and you're like, "Thanks,
no, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you."
I mean, people have told. Yeah, she won't care if I say this. My sister has been told for years that she looks like Anne Hathaway, and she insists that she looks nothing like Anne Hathaway, and I'm like, I don't know. In some pictures, in some angles, you kind of do.
I can kind of see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can kind of see it. My sister also kind of looks like Anne Hathaway from certain angles. Yeah, see? Right? Yeah. So it's fine. It's okay. It's a good look. Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's one improvement you would make about yourself?
I would like to be more organized. I would like to be more patient. Maybe if I was more patient, I would take more time to be organized. So there you go.
Those are two good things. Yeah. No, those are two good things.
Yeah.
I would love my shoulder not to hurt anymore. I am tired of having a broken shoulder.
Wait. Can I change mine? I want my pancreas to work again. I want to not have diabetes.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up, but I was
like,
if you're good with it, that's up to you. No, that's a good one. If I'm speaking in terms of like what you said at first, like I could stand to be. I could stand to need a little less alone time. I actually wouldn't mind changing that.
Okay.
Because I I need it like to survive, and sometimes like it builds up where I'm like I need like 48 hours of it.
Yeah.
And like you never get that in life. It just doesn't exist.
Right. When you're an adult with a job and responsibilities,
a family,
like
alone time.
Yeah, what's that?
Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I would love to need less of that, just so I can just continue to function as a normal human and not be grouchy.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. And it's actually a great segue into my next question.
Oh.
You said you would like to need less of that. But this next question, I'm not making it up. This is literally the question. It is, what do you need more of in your life?
Alone time. Yeah. And I'm so poorly specific about it. So it's like, I haven't, like, if I haven't talked, I could have not talked to anybody in like an hour or two. But if I'm like in the house with somebody, I'll feel like I could talk to somebody at any time. So it doesn't really feel like alone time.
It's not really alone time.
It feels
right?
like separation time, but you're not really alone. You never really feel alone. So I need but then when let's say like my wife goes out of the house or whatever, it's always like I have that feeling like you're waiting for guests to come over and you're always like check and be like, oh, are they back yet? Are they back yet? Are they here yet? Are they here yet? So then like you're never quite settled because you're always because now the countdown has begun of how much time you have. So like I can't ever really be comfortable. I haven't had alone time since I literally lived alone.
Yep.
Like I haven't had it in years.
Yep.
So I need to figure that out. That part of my of my need.
Yeah. I mean, in this past year, especially, like there was no possibility of it, right? Like it's not like your wife was going to go somewhere for the weekend or go stay at her mom's or something. Like that wasn't going to happen.
That don't happen.
I mean, I know you. Yeah, that's not really.
Yeah, no, that doesn't. But I mean, between COVID, my wife being pregnant, all that, like that does not happen.
COVID alone, means that no one had that. So like that. Yeah, that's a different thing. I recently just had that where my wife stayed at a friend's house for the night just this past weekend. So I had one evening where that was like after work, the night was mine. And it was like, wow, what do I do with it? I haven't had this experience in a year and a half, more than a year and a half. Since whenever the last time that she went on a work trip was, which was, pre-pandemic. So like,
although you went up and had a work retreat.
That is true.
By yourself.
That is true. I did do that. That is true. I did have alone time in that case. You're absolutely right about that. Yes, I went off into the woods and had a couple nights on my own. So that is very true. You're right about that. I stand corrected. But yeah, it's a very rare thing. It's a very rare thing. And so I can definitely can understand that and relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do I want more of? I aside from alone time, I could use more. Oh gosh, I don't want anything like material. I could always use more laughter. I laugh a lot. I feel like I'm a lucky person in that like my wife and I make each other laugh a lot. And that is the thing I think that brings me like some of the most joy in life is laughter and laughter with people who I love and care about and who I feel close with. No, you know what what I'm going to go with is I would love more like deep conversations. Like, you know, those like staying up till 2 a.m. with your friend in college talking about like some philosophical or topic or something. I could use more of that in my life. That is something I haven't had, you know, in a long time, because I don't live in a dorm. You know what I mean? Like that just doesn't, or don't have slumber parties. But like, that's something I kind of miss.
Because those things, that type of thing requires other people.
Yes.
Because you can't keep doing it with your spouse or anything, because like you fall into the same topics, or you pretty much know what the other person thinks already.
Yes.
So they're going to so if we talked like if my wife talked about something like that, I know what she's going to say.
Right.
Like because I know her so well that it's probably not a surprise what we're going to, each of us will end up saying to one another. But but you need, like, we don't really know each other very well. We're going to have a very long conversation about what we feel about the universe.
I'm an introvert and I don't like small talk, but if we can get on a serious topic of conversation that I'm like really into, like that, something philosophical, something meaningful, something heavy like that, I'll get way into that with somebody I don't know that well, because I'm just fascinated by someone else's perspective, and to share my perspective and, like, you know, talk about why we feel the way we do about those. I love those kinds of like deep conversations, even with somebody I don't know super well.
You know what we're going to do one day? This is going to be real fun. We're going to go to a college town.
Ooh.
And we're going to find like the Harvard Bar, or the Yale pub, or, you know, the philosophical pantry, whatever.
Sure.
And we're going to go and scope out some people who just like think that way, and that's the atmosphere of the place.
I like it.
And get somebody to talk to us.
You'll introduce yourself as the professor. It'll be great.
It will be. And they'll be like, "Oh, professor of what?" And I'll be like, "No, that's just my nickname.
Professor Comics.
Professor Comics.
Have you seen my corner?
Have you seen the corner? It's filled with comic information on a different podcast. It's very good.
That's for the super real TV Talk listeners.
Yeah, they are. All right. Okay. You know what? We are at our time.
We're at time.
I think that's actually good enough. So, Frank, where can the people find us?
You can find us at beerwithgeeks.com. You can find this and all the rest of our shows at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. If you want to hear more from either of us or our friends, and there are many, many podcasts. They're very talented, and they do some awesome stuff at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. You can support all of us and all of our shows at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. For as little as $1 a month, you can help us to keep making these shows and keep cranking them out. You can follow us on Twitter at Beer with Geeks. You can email us, beerwithgeeks@gmail.com. You can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and all other podcast directories like Amazon Music and Google Podcasts and Stitcher and Spotify and TuneIn and a veritable plethora of other places. And ratings and reviews mean a lot. So please make sure to do that. And that would be awesome. That would help us a lot. Tim, it's been a pleasure as always. And so until next time, Professor.
Cheers.
Cheers.